Are there other BPO firms here? I mean, let's be direct here. Are there other BPO firms that's going to follow suit after what Concentric decided to let go of tax perks just so they can extend their work from home arrangement?
I empathize with the difficulty of investors in our country, listening to the voice of the BPO employee. During the pandemic, as we all know, a vast majority of our workforce had to relocate and work from home due to the lockdowns, and the return to normalcy and to on-site operations will be equally challenging. But to answer your question, I highly doubt that investors in our industry and in other industries, for that matter, will forgo tax incentives. And in fact, in the case of Concentrix, who is a very active member of the association, this is, I believe, a very temporary measure and a painful decision for them to make, given that viable commercial activity and profitability needs both fiscal and non-fiscal incentives. There is a war for talent going on in the global IT BPM industry, and one of the industries where our country is actually a world leader, and sacrificing tax incentives is I would say is a disincentive to growing investment in our country and our industry. And I know that this is just an interim measure of a company like Concentrix, based on the fact that they had to listen to the voice of the employee. They had to do right by their staff in this eventual return to a more hybrid work setup.
Okay, Jack, while you're pointing out, of course, that this move by Concentrix is primarily based on employee management here, still, it puts into question the value of these tax incentives that's being offered by PEZA and the FIRB. Even the FIRB has commented, that it's really not important to investors doing business in the Philippines. Your thoughts on that, and what do these tax perks really mean to BPOs?
I think any investor, especially in our very large and important industry, consider an array of factors before investing into our country. I would say fiscal incentives and tax incentives are critical to continue to grow our industry. And I think knowing the investment appetite of many of our members, including Concentrix, I believe that fiscal incentives will continue to play an important role to grow investors and to retain investors in our industry in the Philippines.
Okay, sir, when you mentioned this would be temporary, do you mean by that it's just a matter of time before the BPO industry can comply with the on-site work? As I recall, we also had you and we had CCAP before saying, we want to comply. It's just that right now it's still very difficult. We still need this hybrid work format. Or do you mean by temporary that this suspension of incentives might actually, be reversed, and that they might be listening to the sector in terms of still giving it despite the hybrid format?
Concentrix and other investors, who are considering options right now, are in a very critical juncture, because there is large demand for Filipino talent, especially in our industry, and attrition is a key challenge as we return to some kind of normalcy. And so, as I said, it was a painful decision to temporarily forgo their tax incentives, but I highly doubt that they have surrendered incentives on a permanent basis. I think they just heeded the call of their employees, because it is extremely challenging to just, after working from home for almost 2 years, to just suddenly fully return to on-site. And we see this beyond our industry. I think we all have seen the benefits of a hybrid work setup that we are all still trying to figure out what that optimal balance is. So, I think again, the Filipino employee and workforce is critical to the long-term success of our industry, and we need to continue to manage the vast demand for talent in our country. And one of these, and that's what we're facing right now. So I think an investor's decision will include both fiscal and non-fiscal incentives. And I think employee retention is critical to our long-term success. We have to remember that we are the biggest job creator for our economy. We ended last year with 1.44 million employees, one of the very few industries to grow. We added 143,000 new jobs during the pandemic. I can't think of any other industry that can claim that. And I really would like to stress that we need to continue to offer all investors, as DG Plaza of PEZA said, consistent application of regulations and not having this image of changing rules in the middle of the game. We are in a war for talent, and I think we should remember that the IT BPM industry is an indispensable pillar of the economy.